Assalamualaikum badin jibir lalu mo be konton nambal tentulam baljala antole mutana jam ko tenken na logo lo kun kayra kacha kami sudah jam Fatu Network ka fa pistok so bi fana mutana jam ka kacha ke kula mi alon ko nyilo kun wala nyin karo mu ngole commencer ka ke ning political party nyaton kol anu bi fana ning political party farman sarim balle bi jam min alon ko la nyatan kol ni wala bi jam bi good morning to our esteemed followers and viewers. We are saying hello and welcome to another edition of our weekly Peace Talk. So this is the show that is brought to you to discuss on issues surrounding our national peace and security. We have started a new edition of our weekly Peace Talk, so where we invite political party leaders to come and discuss on a very important topic. And today is the last phase of this edition, and we have former councillor of New Joshua, who is Molamin Baji, who is representing APRC here, and we also have Mr. Alhaji Mamadi Kurang, who is the party leader and the flag bearer for Change Party, and we also have Amadou Ka, who is the deputy chairperson of GDC. Mr. Baji, Mr. Kurang, and Mr. Ka, you are welcome to the Peace Talk Show. This is the show that is brought to discuss on issues surrounding our national peace and security, and I hope today we'll have a very constructive, interactive, but very productive discussion. Mr. Baji, you can say hello to our esteemed followers.
Good morning to esteemed followers of Fatu Network. I'm here, as you rightly said, representing the APRC party as admin secretary too. We all know that my party leader was loved to be here, but because of a very tight schedule that he has, so he asked me to step in on his behalf.
The party leader would have loved to step in here, but due to tight schedules, Mr. Baji is here to step in on his behalf. We come to Mr. Kurang. You can say hello to our esteemed followers.
Thank you very much,
yes,
Alasan. I'm very pleased to be here to talk to the audience and the people of the Gambia. Because 2021, as we know, is a milestone election for everybody. So on behalf of Change, I'm here to speak to the listeners and our supporters and everybody, and looking forward to a good conversation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kerr.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jallo. We're happy to be here. I am Amadou Ka, Deputy Party Leader of the Gambia Democratic Congress. We're happy to be here to talk to the people about peace, especially considering what we're coming to get into. Peace is key, and only peace will get us through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This whole month we have been discussing on a very important topic, that is conduct of political parties in ensuring peaceful campaign and elections. This is the topic that we are coming to discuss here with them today. And to start with Mr. Baji. Mr. Baji, what are the ingredients of peaceful elections?
For peaceful elections, the ingredients is that we all need to understand that elections is about someone interested in leading this country. And if you're interested in leading this country, your interest should be focused on peace and stability, development, and making sure that everybody in this country benefits from the developments that should be enshrined in the policy of your party. And for APRC, as we know, peace is paramount in whatever we do. That's why if you see, just drag it back to 2016, what have happened in 2016, if it was not a peaceful party, would have put this country into chokes. There could have been conflict, there could have been fight, there could have been war, anything could have happened in 2016. But because we believe, in law, we believe in coexistence, we believe in establishing, maintaining peace and order in this country, that through the directives of the party leader, the former president, His Excellency Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh, always promotes unity, always promotes peace, and has inculcated that in our party militants. That's why whatever happens to the APRC always will maintain peace and order, and also will abide the law.
That is wonderful. In fact, that is a question that I have for you specifically. But looking at elections, people will say a lot of things can, lead to, electoral violence, understand? So in your observation as a party, and a very concerned party, and in fact a former, party that was leading this country, what do you think are the ingredients? What can, lead to electoral violence?
IEC has a key role to play to maintain peace when it comes to elections. Because what happens in 2016, if it is another country, would have been, this country would have been, in mess by now. Because if we knowing that there are so many strong political parties that are contesting elections, and if your results are not accurate, or you don't give people accurate results, that can lead to problems. And that's why we always say that IEC should be focused. They should also be very careful in whatever they are doing when it comes to elections. And we also make advocacies that party militants should be sensitized enough to understand that elections is not violence. And if looking at the context of the Gambia, we are one family. Every Gambian is related. And in order to maintain that peace and order, we definitely have to nurture that. And we have to do a lot of sensitization to make sure that people understands that elections are not, for violence. Elections is about you want to lead the country, and it's like a political party has its own view and direct or objective of how to run this country. Another party has a different thing, so that doesn't mean that you should go into conflict. That doesn't mean that you should go into war. That doesn't mean that you should castigate people. That doesn't mean that you should. I mean, if example, Dr. Kura has a vision of how his party wants to run this country. Aprc has a vision. The way they think is the better way to run this country. Likewise, JDC and other political parties. But that divergent views doesn't mean that we are enemies to each other. That doesn't mean that our party militants should be castigating or attacking each other. So therefore, it is our responsibility as leaders of our political parties to sensitize our people, build the culture of cohesion between political parties. We come to Mr. Kurang.
Mr. Kurang, we have seen that recently in Africa, elections, some even said elections in Africa are never peaceful, understand? And how has electoral violence affected Africa?
Well, we know that once it's an election season, there are so many different stakeholders. And, over the course of history, we've seen that in Africa, there are sporadic or, regular, cases of violence, between supporters. And, when you talk about the stakeholders here, we have always the ruling government, and we have the oppositions, right? And then we have the executives of the parties, and also we have the supporters, the rank and file. And obviously, there you cannot discount the media, the role of the media. It's about a question of usually perception of how people see of in terms of how they should behave in an election. There are cases in which we have maybe certain rulers, or in some countries who are ruling and they feel that they do not need to be challenged, and they give that mentality to their supporters, and their supporters go about portraying the same image, right, or the same attitude towards maybe the opposition. I think we thank God in Gambia we are now in a democratic country, and it is generally believed, and people are carrying themselves as they have a right to express themselves, and I don't think people are saying it like nobody has the right to go against what I say. So in the Gambia at the moment for the 2021, I can say there is this perception of a democratic feeling. But nevertheless, there is still the stakeholders and the roles that they should play. We have the political parties, and we have the executives, and then we have the media. I think it is very, very important for each one of the stakeholders to know what is their responsibility. For the media, for example, to avoid broadcasting things that are irresponsible, and for the parties to allow or not to allow certain types of messages to come across the media or the platforms that they have. We in Youth for Change have got what we call WhatsApp groups. I think every party has WhatsApp group. We have more close to 50 or 100 WhatsApp groups. But we make sure that nobody insults either party, or either inside or outside, meaning other parties within our platforms. And we make sure that we do the due process to make sure that those things don't happen. So I think every party has some kind of responsibility.
As every party has some kind of responsibility, let me come to GDC. GDC was hailed in 2016 as one of the most peaceful political groups. Looking at GDC, what are your values towards peace until you register that name?
Thank you very much, Mr. Jallo. We as a party, one of the first things, the programs we have in place is to be able to sail into the election in peace, to be able to share peace with other political parties. One of the first things we did was to put up a kind of a study. And the objective of this study is just to understand we and the GDC and other political parties, what are their commonalities, what do they have in common. And then if we understood clearly what we have in common, then I think that will make us to be able to see each other in a very, possible and peaceful and a positive manner. And then also, we also do try as much as possible to discover what do we have that are different. How are we different in approaches? How are we different in opinions? Do you see it? And even how are we different when it comes to even communicating to the people and responding to questions, queries, from the people. And when that is done, I can just cite an example. It's like we understood one of the commonalities we have is we all want to lead this country. We all want good for this country. Then therefore, even if probably another party might have come up with something that could have looked an error or become an error or whatsoever, we still will approach it in a different way, saying that, okay, of course, what we know their primary objective is just to take this country forward. Then we are not perfect, we are humans, we are not perfect. At any point in time, there could be, differences from what we have intended to do. And then also at the side of the, the differences, then we just understand the difference is not because we are enemies, but it's because we are approaching our objectives in different ways. Do you see? And in fact, this has been guaranteed by the Constitution, by our way of life and governance. And that's why in the parliament you have different political parties.
Let me quickly ask you this. Okay.
Represents an opinion, and in each of these different political parties in the parliament they are trying to make so the vision and then the objective, the aims of their political party is instituted in whatever is done in government. So therefore I believe that is just what it's all about. And then that being able to discover that then will help in a second phase, and that is where we accommodate one another, give respect to one another. I think you've mentioned 2016. I can say an example about that. I can remember while we were in a convoy, we met with Aprc somewhere around Birkama. Okay, we understood clearly that President Jammeh was the head of state. And he was also our leader, not only the leader of the Aprc, because head of state, he was everybody's president. And should be accorded that respect. So when our convoys were about to meet, when we were informed that the president was coming through, we happened to leave the road. But something else also happened. While their convoy was passing through, some of the Aprc people were looking through their window and they were saying, "Thank you very much, thank you very much." So you see, when we accorded that respect, they also responded in even a higher possible, they gave us a higher accord of respect. So I think that's what I'm trying to say. When we discover and understand what our differences, what our commonalities are, then we will try as much as possible to accommodate one. And when you even offer somebody respect, they will give you more, because we all are political parties instituted by law and order that are all respectful and all want to put this country to go through. So I think that's key and that's fundamental.
That is wonderful. But do you still maintain the status quo of being peaceful, or you have increased?
Yes, we are more peaceful today than we have ever been. Yes.
Okay, let me come to Mr. Kura. Mr. Kura, people are saying that politics is dirty. What is your analysis to that?
Well, I would not say politics is dirty. If you say, yeah, people play maybe dirty tricks or so in politics, yeah, but politics per se cannot be described as dirty, because politics is a way of life, and we cannot describe our way of life as dirty. Politics encompasses everything that we do, the food that we eat, the economy that we work on, our social standards or our social issues. It encompasses everything. But we know that some people, get into politics maybe for different reasons, or when they get into politics, they do things for different reasons. All right. However, I believe in politics of positivity. I believe that politics is a way of advancing society from one level to another level. And what I try to do with our how we try to interact with our supporters in change is to tell people that we are here to improve the country, to move it from one level to another level. That does not require antagonism to the extent of violence or ways of expressing yourself. I think what it requires is you have your approach, you have your issues, where you want to project this country, is to focus on those issues. While you are on party platforms and while you are out campaigning, like he said, is to focus on. I was just from the provinces, and I know, well, the IEC has not yet done, timetables of how people should be. We were going into Boiram and we realized that the president was there, and it was an unannounced schedule, I guess. And then we just said, okay, since he's there, we take another way and go to another place where he is. Like he said, he's the president of the state, and we don't really need, the country is big. Gambia is small, but it's big. There are more than 1,000 villages. So you can have 100 political parties at the same time, all campaigning in different villages, and there will still be other villages saying that we haven't seen you people yet. So there is enough space for people to operate. And
it means that understanding has to prevail among you, the political leaders.
Yeah, it doesn't even need the IEC. People should have common sense approach of giving space to each other. Because at the end of the day, we are not there to force it through the truth of
But we conclude that politics is not dirty.
I don't believe in that concept that politics is.
Let me come to Mr. Baji. Mr. Baji,
yes.
APRC, as you stated here, that is a very peaceful party. You said, I quote. How has APRC ensured that elections in this country were peaceful?
As you know, when we were in government, we believe in security. We believe in peace and stability. Because it is the fundamental pillar for any development of any country. That's why whatever provocations have been done during our time, I can give you incidences when even one of our supporters was killed in Basse by a political opposition party when we were in government. And nothing came out of it. Because we maintained peace, spoke to our people, calm them down to make sure that for them to understand that this is about elections. And when you are a ruling government, a ruling party, oppositions will provoke you, will do everything, to jeopardize the election process. And we said that will not happen. So we are able to maintain that peace because it's always advocating any platform that we are, whether it's a political rally or it's a meeting or in any platform that we are utilizing, be it a social media platform or an electronic or print media. We always advocate for peace, because we believe you cannot achieve anything without peace.
But now, are you peaceful?
We are more than peaceful.
But some are saying that now APRC members are angry, and sometimes, so many, attacks could come out from APRC or do come out from APRC.
No, we don't attack any political party. We don't. Because everybody knows that APRC believes in peace. We could have behaved the way other political parties behaved. Remember, when we got to opposition, we said we are an opposition with a difference. And we have demonstrated that. We have manifested that. The coalition government have provoked APRC in many ways. But we maintain the peace and order and stability of this country. And if we want to plug this country into chokes, we can do it with a second. Because we have numbers, we have the capacity, we have everything. But what we believe in is you cannot develop a nation, with violence. You must maintain peace and order to develop your country. You have seen incidences, the Kamfenda incident, where the opposition, where the coalition government, from independence celebrations, they went to Kamfenda, met our people there, because they saw a lady with APRC t-shirt, and she was attacked. They ended up arresting over 50 people from Kamfenda. They went even to the village, arresting people, taking them to detain them. We spend a lot of money in hiring the service of a legal practitioner to get those people out of the situation. We could have behaved otherwise, like what other political opposition parties used to do during our time. But we did not do that. You have incidences that happened in Kanilai. When the community of Kanilai came out and said, please, we don't want the military to be here because the way they were handling them. Even if your goat goes to the military camp, you lose it. And that's not what they were there for. The economic forces that is based in Kanilai. And these are issues that emerged until Aruna Jatta was killed. All these things happened, and we could have done something else, but we did not. Because we believe in maintaining peace.
The status quo of peace.
We believe in peace.
But now
we believe that you cannot, problems are not solved by violence.
Yeah.
You need to negotiate to solve problems. And that's how we were behaving. And that's what we did.
One question.
And we are still maintaining the status quo.
One question. Recently, I have seen that a lot of audios do go viral, and these audios are said to be people who are associated to APRC, making very, disparaging remarks. Are those people officially from APRC, or they claim to be from APRC?
Those people claim to be from APRC.
Okay.
Because you had the merger between APRC and NPP, and that did not go well with other opposition parties. And some of their supporters are claiming to be, if UDP can sit and advise APRC militant, what are we talking about? Yesterday, UDP, there was no castigation that they did against APRC. There's nothing that they haven't done in terms of violence and everything against the APRC when we are in government. So that person sit today and advise you not to go for an alliance. Is he not protecting his interest? And some of even the UDP guys are making audios, and all the other political parties, some of their members are pretending to be APRC, making audios, going against the National Executive Committee. I was part of the National Executive Committee that went on tour before we go into alliance with NPP. Because when we have talks with political parties, yes, we had the mandate by Congress to go for alliance with any political party, but when we had talks with various political parties, we did not go ahead and then finalize and say, yes, we're going with NPP. We went round to meet our stakeholders and discuss with them and tell them, well, we have discussion with party A, B, C, D, and out of all these parties that we have discussed, we believe we could go with NPP.
Very well. We come to that.
And get their blessing. Before we went into signing.
It's interesting. Anyway, coming to Mr. Ka, politics of personalities, as I was discussing with him, is getting ground in the country here. And as it is getting ground here also, education and enlightenment also has to continue on. As a politician, do you think politicians supposed to be on the podium to be casting negative image or remarks towards their fellows? What do you think supposed to be the the mission of a politician on a podium?
Yes, I think the mission of a politician primary is not going to be the only mission, but we can say the primary mission should always consider issues of national interest, talk about our country and what will develop our country and so on and so on. We must not also forget, in politics, when it comes exactly to the time that we are, everybody needs also to work on your personality, need to also work your own publication and all of that. But also need to work on your status, need to also work on who actually you are, how people, the perception people have about you, and who actually yourself you are. These are all things that are important in the political spectrum. But I would really, say that for my part, I will not be a politician that will be there just castigating my fellow competitors and so on and so on. If I would disagree with any competitor, it will have to be based on policies. It have to be based on programs, but also part of it can go to the personality of the person. Because let's not remember, one of the very aspects where people fail in Gambian politics is most of us believe that we can say whatever we feel like say at any point in time. Just yesterday I told somebody, and I said, for a politician, and a correct and up to standard politician, you must be able to link at any point in time your present to your future, but also it should have some kind of an effect or certain kind of link with your future. And what I mean by that, if a politician is about to answer a question or talk about a new topic, you should be fast enough to link yourself to your past. How have you dealt with such a matter, such manner? Do you understand? Yes, there are people in the public that can, at any point in time, you can come in a different way and they can accept you. But there are certain people who would say, all I have about a politician is his word. Do you understand? And that's why consistency is one of the biggest problems in Gambian politics. We have politicians that are not consistent in any way. And for me, myself, my relationship with my party, the Mama Kande, is about that. If any time, in point in time, I see Mama Kande become a different person from the person he has been since I started politics with him, I'll start question who he is today. So that talks about the personality of politics. So we cannot just take out the personality, all of it out there together. Because sometimes as human, when we face the people, sometimes we will not realize when we have deviated from national issues and then to personal issues. And that's why the person goes with all of us. So the politicians, the personality of the politician is as equally important as whatever the politician represents. Because a lot of people that are going to make a decision about the people would base their decisions about the personality that encompasses the person's attitude, the person's behavior, the person's utterances, and the person's reactions to matters of national interest. So personality is key and should be factored at any point in time. But actually, it shouldn't be about a politic of discrediting one another. Do you understand? Because most of the politicians are advocating for laws that will fight cybercrime, cyberbullying, and so on. But okay, you wouldn't be consistent if you start to discredit your competitor in public, talking about his personality in a negative manner, and then at the end of the time you are propitiating the people that you will be taking part in the fighting against cyberbullying, cybercrime, about personal attacks somewhere and somewhere. So in that case, you will be a very selfish politician, because probably there is an issue that you may believe could be probably something that could turn you out to be a victim tomorrow. And that's why, but when it comes to actuality, you're not interested in it. So that consistency is very key, and all of us. Consistency,
very key in politics. Dear viewers, you're watching us live online at Fado Network. We have, Mr. Lamin Baji here, who is the admin secretary of APRC, and we have Mr. Alhaji Kurang, who is the presidential candidate for Change Party, and we have Amadou Ka, who is the deputy party leader for GDC. They join us live online here to discuss on conduct of political parties in ensuring peaceful campaign and election. And we actually are hearing what they are saying. Their words are very powerful, very useful, and they are loaded with wisdom. Coming to Mr. Kurang. Mr. Kurang, how is Change Party preparing towards a more peaceful election? Change Party actually sometimes are contemplating whether it's a party registered or it's not a party.
Yeah, I mean, we are contesting for 2021.
Okay.
Right. What we tell people is that the 1997 Constitution is not about voting for a party. It's about voting for a personality. Right? Registration can be done at any time, according to the IEC. But at the end of the day, nobody is voting for a party. In 2016, we voted for a personality. And then once you are voted as a personality, you can decide to go with any party that you go with, as we see already happening in this country. So this 2021 election is about who to vote for. Right? The people are going to the polls to decide who is the best person that can run this country, despite of which party he is affiliated with, because we know very clearly what can happen, right? Day after he is voted, he doesn't belong to any party. Now, we in the Change Party are saying that 2021 is one of the most critical elections for the Gambia. And what we're saying that we have a platform, we have got a policy, we have got our manifesto driven out that this country needs change. And what needs to be changed? We said youth for change is one of our philosophies. Country before party, country before tribe. Because what we have seen in this country for the past 5 years is that we had a transition agenda. The people voted for a transition. And what happened? The transition has been clearly hijacked. Clearly hijacked by simply what? You may not want to come here like we are just learning to point fingers at personalities, because then you will go into a non-stop cycle of personality finger pointing. But what we know and what history is going to record is that party interests, and some people may say individual interest, has hijacked the interests of the country.
Yes. So, now as a party, that is a Change Party, understand? How are you working towards a peaceful election?
How we are working towards a peaceful election is what I mean, to focus on the issues. To focus on the issues. I just gave you an example. Everybody has got platforms. Every party has got platforms. Right? And those platforms actually tells you about what the party is. Some parties have got WhatsApp groups, some have got other media platforms on social media, some parties maybe have got TVs. What you say on those TVs, you cannot say because I'm a party leader and I didn't insult, but you have a platform that insults, you have meetings that where insults are done, you have got WhatsApp groups where insults are projected, and then you say you are not responsible. I say if I belong to any platform that is used by Youth for Change or the Change Party, and in that platform you've got people that are using language that is offensive and not politically correct, I am either going to be out of that platform, or anybody who uses that platform in our name, I make sure he's out of that platform. Because leadership is about what you project. Leadership is about taking responsibility. And I think as a party leader, I think as a leader of a movement, the buck stops at you. So you take responsibility for what your supporters are doing.
That is wonderful. In fact, there is this, common issue like, some political leaders or some people in particular political parties will talk, and once they talk, sometimes some of their parties will come and say, okay, this one was speaking, like Mr. Baji to speak, and APRC to come and say, okay, to realize that what Mr. Baji said is actually not somehow correct. And they will say, okay, Mr. Baji was expressing his view, and this does not go in line with the views of APRC. This is something also that is disturbing. This is about, making this country. It's not about breaking this country. When Mr. Baji is in the party, he does something that is not good. I think, just the party leaders to call him and say, what you have done is not correct. And, party to come and say, what Mr. Baji has done, we have regretted and we apologize. Simple. There's no crime in that. But Mr. Baji, I'm sorry for taking you as an example. I know you.
It's okay.
So, campaign is coming. And it could be very rough and tough. As you have stated, of your previous experience, how is APRC prepared to focus on policies and programs instead of personalities or revenging?
As you know, APRC is always focused on policy and programs. We always, sell our agenda because what we believe is development is not about personal attack. People have different views. That doesn't mean that you should attack those people. We're going to elections come December 4th, and campaign will start sometime in November, which we are very aware of. And we are doing a lot of advocacy, we're doing a lot of sensitization, and trying to educate the people to understand that elections is not about violence. Elections is not about insulting people. Elections is not about castigating people. Elections is about selling your agenda, your programs and activities, which we are prepared to do. Because we're working towards that direction, knowing that there is an alliance between the APRC and the NPP. Already a team have been set up, that is amalgamating the two policies and manifestos of the two parties to represent, the interests of the Gambian people, so that we can put our ideas together, because we have some commonalities in some areas, and it's just that the strategies that we have that we're trying to put synergy into, so that we can definitely come up with a better policy that will address the problems that are in this country, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of agriculture, in terms of in terms of economy. We look at all those policies because as a party we have already developed a manifesto that the manifesto is also accompanied with a strategic plan of what do we intend to do if we go back to government. We've been in government, that's why we say our slogan is go back to State House. Okay. We're going back to State House.
Go back to State House.
We're going back to State House. We have a mission.
Let's see who will go back to State House in order to force. I wish you all the best. Mr. Kra, coming to you, we have seen that election could be very, very controversial sometimes. From your analysis, which institutions should do what to ensure that this election is peaceful? From this engagement with political party leaders, we will be having, discussion with the institutions that will have direct or indirect interference, towards the free, fair, and transparent election. So some of these concerns raised by you people are some of the same questions that we are going to raise to the various, stakeholders and ask them their level of preparedness to ensure that the doubts from your own ends are settled. So what do you think supposed to be done by which institution and how?
Yes, thank you. There are a lot of key players, institutions that are very important in this process in according us a free, fair elections. And then in short, an institution like the IEC, the Gambia Police Force, and security, I can say security forces with the Gambia National Army and all that. But also the Office of the President in a big way. When it comes to the IEC, we all have had a history, and the history, like in 2016, probably 2016 is the year that was most visible, and that's why it's the year we talked about. But even it replicates in 2017. Similar errors coming up when the results were of the local government elections were announced. So then it happened in 2017, and not long ago, then we saw an issue of a double registration of about 3,000. And then finally, what we're seeing is not, it was in 3,000. So, and as it is, about 25,000 probably have been removed from the voter register, as I saw not long ago. So, you see, all of these pile ups to probably making certain kind of indications to the perception of people and how they would see the IEC's capacity to be able to run free, fair elections. I don't think it has to be about only the capacity or technical know-how, because they have been running elections for decades. So then actually it has to be about their readiness to do what needs to be done, one. Secondly, also to employ what resources that are necessary in this process. We talked about the use of technology. It's just going to be unbelievable that within technology, people should be able to duplicate their registrations with a fingerprinting exercise that is taking, with their names and everything being the same, and then all being installed through an electronic process. So that's one. So they have a big role to play, IEC. And then secondly, why I talked about the police, because the police are going to make sure the environment is peaceful. They're going to make sure they accord IEC and their personnel protection, protecting their materials, their resources, their data, whatsoever. But also the other security, like intelligence, will be engaged in the process. Like I've heard, the SIS probably have kind of like since our meeting at Friday informed the incumbents that probably they have not been given a correct report about the status, the current status of the GDC, because they were very, very surprised when that meeting took place. So in that case, what I'm just trying to put across, like, the security should be for all of us. You understand? Should be for all of us. The police should make sure they give equal protection. And then actually sometimes, example, like we have seen in the past, certain people talk about hate speech and stuff like that, and then we see the police move swiftly. Do you see? To take actions about those things. We have seen just a few days ago a woman who was beating a child probably with a pistol, and then when the video gone viral, I have heard and saw that the police made an arrest. But we have seen somebody with a bag of voters cards, correct voters cards, in a political rally, saying that all those are meant for MPP, and the person is yet to be arrested, and or to be actually even not only the police but also the IEC to take necessary steps about that, because that will ensure the fairness that we all are looking for. And thirdly, you can, the reason I mentioned the Office of the President, because this is the incumbency, and we all know incumbency have a lot of power and a lot of advantages and privileges. One of which, example, other political parties, especially in the executive, we are going to try to make sure any car we have, we are going to be fueled by our own money, our own resources. The incumbency program will be moving with a lot of public vehicles that belongs to all of us, fueled by taxpayers' money, and therefore that in that case will not provide free and fair elections, because it has given him privilege that he didn't earn. There's no constitutional guarantee for him to do that. Do you understand? So these are all privileges that the president would have in the process, and therefore then I would urge the Office of the President to support the President to understand that what will guarantee a free and fair election, what will guarantee an election that everybody will be satisfied at the end of the day, is where he tried to, as much as possible, through his office, to help him to understand what are privileges during this campaign trail when he'll be going out, what has he been given by the Constitution, as part of whatever he's going to go with, but also what are privileges, what also things that he must do away with. Like some example, like my brother here I've just mentioned, that in their political platforms, to ensure just peaceful, fair, free elections, when people talk about issues, then they stop them. I can remember in 2016, in one of our platforms, I think I was in Kantora, somebody picked up a mic and then started saying something that was almost going negative. We had to stop him. We asked MC Chan to take the mic, and what happened? Until then, you know, the person left GDC, the person wasn't talking on GDC platform. So, but unfortunately, we have seen, you know, in the front of the president, they say certain people speak out in ways that really are not called for, and nothing has been done about all of that. Not even to give a serious warning that, you know, this, for example, from the police, that to say, you know, this is a serious warning to probably all of you, that we are not going to condone any kind of such representation, either from the opposition and then we expect them also to be so swift as they would do at the side of the opposition when also the incumbency. I think these are all issues that are very key.
Let me ask Dr. Kurang, right? It's Dr. Kurang, right?
Mr. Kurang.
Okay, Mr. Kurang. Mr. Kurang, do you have any contribution to that? Because this is a wide area that we can all explore. You know, as politicians, you know, people who are, you know, contesting, you know, you may have your own, you know, bots at each of the institutions. So, do you have any contribution to what he has just said here? Improve institutions that need to be improved to ensure that the election is free, fair, and transparent. Yeah, that you will not have any criticisms or, you know, any, you know.
I think he rightly pointed out, you know, in a democratic society like we claim to have, you know, every institution has got specific responsibilities that they must play. And I did give an example of the media, you know, that, as the Fourth Estate had need to be responsible as to what project, both on the radios. We have seen radio stations and some medias that project certain statements that may be provocative, you know, and also like he said, the state security apparatus is there to protect not the president only, but to protect a democracy. So I think if you sign up, you take an oath as a security officer, the security institutions, the police, the NIA, the army, they are there to protect the constitution and to protect the people. And we are here 2021 to play the rules according to what the constitution says. So I also think there is point in the fact that the presidency, obviously, the incumbent has got some disproportionate advantage that must be watched. You know, I'm not sure how much leverage the IEC has in terms of looking at specific issues of campaign resources, etc., where they, you know, whether the state is going beyond its means. But also there is the issue of equal coverage to the media. The national media, I think, those that are paid by the taxpayer, for example, the GRTS and so on, I believe that they should give equal time, because this is what the opposition have been saying for 20 years or for 20-something years, that they need to have equal platform. Now when we have an opposition in power, I think there should be a reflection of what we have been claiming, that there should be equal access to the media. So I do believe that yes, the IEC also have got certain responsibilities to come out and make clarifications. I do not know what the law says if somebody take a bag full of voters' cards and take it to a NPP rally, but I don't know what advantage that gives to the NPP factually, because those voters' cards, you're not going to, one party is not going to take them to go and put them in the ballot. And if he keeps on holding them, I hope that he keeps them until December 5th, because it means that they will not be able to vote. So, you know, I don't know what the law says, and maybe the IEC would have to look at what the law says in terms of getting in possession of somebody's national document, you know, but I think that's a matter for the legal people.
Okay, now coming to Mr. Baji. Mr. Baji, you know, this is the country that we have, and this is the country that we all call homeland.
Yes.
And you are into politics, you are not enemies. In fact, I heard, you know, your party, one of your party executives saying yesterday that we have 18 political parties with some independent political, independent aspirants. You know, it means we are going to have 20 different approaches or methodologies towards, you know, national development. But it does not mean we are enemies. It does not mean we should apply antagonism tactics. You know, what is your message to your people who will be using podium, you know, to cast some negative remarks on people who actually, you know, have said some things on them? And also, what is going to be your message to those politicians whom you know that you are contesting, not as enemies, but you are contesting as people who are jealous, not jealous in the negative, but jealous in the positive, because you want to take this country to the promised land? What is your message to them?
Yeah, one thing I want to assure you that APRC platform, nobody dares to stand in that podium and castigate any politician or a political party. Because we believe that this country belongs to all of us, and everybody has his own approach in terms of development. That doesn't make us enemies. My message is every Gambian has a right to go out to vote, and we are asking every Gambian to go out and vote peacefully. When you vote, go and sit home and listen to the results. When results are out, because sometimes we have post-election violence. When the results are out, if you're a winner, jubilate with discipline. If you're a loser, accept it in good faith, and then prepare, for the next elections. Because for us, the belief is nobody is a loser. Nobody is a loser. Today, NPP or let's say the coalition government, when they want APRC, we have seen at the end of the day, even ministers that serve in APRC government are serving in the coalition government. So what matters is the state. What matters is the Gambian people. What matters is the development of this country. That every Gambian should understand that yes, we have divergent views, but our focus is to develop this country. Our objective is to move this country forward. Our objective is to better the lives of the Gambian people. And you do it in different approaches. That's why you have different political parties with different views. If we all have a common, all of us have the same view, there would have been only one political party. But if you see you have APRC, you have GDC and other political parties, it's because, the focus and the thinking and the direction of moving this country are different.
Now, Mr. Baji, now what we do, in fact, because our time is going, what you are saying, in fact, should have been something that, like, you are at liberty now to speak any of the language, understand, that, your party militants now will hear that, okay, this is what I'm saying, because that means I'm going to cut it and share it to you, and you disseminate it. Let them know the position of APRC towards peace and security of this country. You can use any of the language.
Okay, jërëjëf maa ngi nuyu ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk di seetaan Fatou Network si jamono ji di wax rek ne maa ngi fi teewal APRC leadership bi di wax rek ñun APRC suñu message always daf dee leer mooy ne képp ki nga xam ne doomi réew nga li la war mooy élection bi nga xam ne moom lañ jublu nii ñu def ko si taranga si jekka ba pare tam ñu respectante joxante cër ñu xam ne réew mi ñun ñoo ko bokka te réew mi mënut a dem kanam fekk ñun yëpp boole suñ xol yi mu nekk benn réew mi mënuñu ko yóbbu fekk ñun amuñ jaama si réew mi kon ñu ngay ñaax képp nga ne yaa ngi dëkk si réew mi pour nga saxal fi jaama ñu xam ne ñun ñoo bokka tey Joola am na jabari soose am na jabari joola am na jabari Pël am na jabari joola am na jarbaat si soose si Pël si ñi xeeti yëpp noonu lañ mel kon xeeti yëpp fekkee ne ñun ñëpp dañ intermarried kon benn famille lañ kon loolu dañ ko war a saxanal loolu dañ ko war a jàppale loolu dañ ko war a jàppa ñu dëgëral ko bi nga xam ne dara war koo yaaxa ndég réew mi su yaaxoo ñun la yaaxal ñun ñëpp ñoo see loru kon suñu wareef la pour ñu protect réew mi suñu wareef la pour ñu protect resources yi nga xam ne moom lañ am suñu wareef la pour ñu aar askan bi soo aarutee askan bi rek su violence amee rek loraange bi si génn fa bëri trop rawatina ndaw ñi ak jigéen ñi kon maa ngi ñaax ñun ñëpp biit political leaders ndax political leader nga ndax political player nga ndax stakeholder nga in terms of media ak bépp bunta ba nga xam ne foofu nga nekka li la war mooy nga jàpp si élection bi nga xam ne lu rafet rek lañ see taabale bi génn si élection bi te di ñaax rek IEC ñii junde nañ ko fi dama si bugg a laalaale tout mbiri IEC dañu war a bàyyi seen xel bu baax a baax parce que élection bi su baaxee ñoom la élection bi su bonee ñoom la parce que ñoom ñooy driver bi ñeneen ñi yëpp dañ si bokk si gaal gi pour gis ne gaal gi teer na waaye ñi nga xam ne ñooy capitaine bi ñooy IEC kon ñu ngay ñaax rek IEC ñu bàyyi seen xel parce que su IEC chairman toogee ci télévision di wax ne man de mbégte bi ma am mooy ne gis naa ne APRC génne naa leen si nguur loolu definitely kon mu ngi wone ne njub nekkul ci li moo def kon ñu ngay ñaax waa IEC rawatina chairman bi ak ñim jiite ne élection bi na ko teg si yoon ak si jub su bëggee réew mi dem kanam ñu gërëm askan bi gërëm ñi ñoo déglu si watu gi di ñaaxaat ñëpp rek ne nañ saxal jaama ñun benn lañ te jaama amul dara lum la mënu tamee ñekka di xastante di saagante di ŋaañante loolu yóbbul réew kanam nit ñi political leaders yi dañ am xalaat yu utee loolu taxul ne dañ bañante déedéet yow ni nga xalaat ne noonu nga bëgg a demee Banjul kii xalaat ne yoon bi laa mën a jël dem Banjul
thank you
kon dem ñun yëpp benn jubluwaay bi ñu am mooy ne naka la ñoo àggee Banjul kon ñun bàyyi suñu xel rek ne ñun duñ nooni kenn parti si duñ noona du nekkuñ ay noon si kenn xalaatee ute ni ñoo yóbboo réew mi kon dañ gis réew mi jiital réew mi jiital askani réew mi ba tax li nga xam ne loolu la askan bi nama ñu bëgg ko ñu won ko askan bi ndax askan yi sànni ñu karta ndax ñu mën a dem si
thank you very much
liggéeyal réew mi
mbele nga moy APRC la Mr. Lamin Badjila atele wo kuma kan kendol fo jang kuma kan nyimal fo jang although my Wolof is not very clear, I know that's why I don't entertain speaking Wolof. Okay. But nonetheless, we come to Mr. Kurang. Mr. Kurang, you can also send this message. You know, this is a message that, you know, will be shared and it will be trimmed and I will share it to you. You can share it, let them know, you know, because it's just going to be a continuation of what you have been saying to your people. As you said, it's your manifesto. Yeah. So you are at liberty to use any of our dialects that you think can go far and wide to greater audience.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. maa ngi nuyu ñëpp ñuy nekk di déglu ci programme bi. ñun change youth for change. you know stand for change party. lu ñu wax mooy 2016 election ñëw na dem na. léegi 2021 buy ñëw nii. Gambia dafa nekk ci place boo xam ne. war nañoo xalaat. right lu gën a important mooy. lan mooy woon problème yi 2016 ba léegi. ñun dañ foog ne right the country. Before the party, the country before the tribe, moo fi ñaakoon a am, right? Dañ am agenda mooy moo xam ne mooy transition agenda. waaye xuloo bi yëpp man dama dee wax ne lii du xuloo yi Gambian soo nekkee baadoole soo nekkee béykat soo nekkee jënda njaay xuloo bi du sax xuloo, right? xuloo bi mooy lopitaan bi soo fa demee loo fa dee am, right? xuloo bi mooy soo demee school. right boo yóbbee sa xale bi ci school fii bi ñaata la boo wàccee boo jàngee ba wàcce grade 12 ndax di nga dee mun a am liggéey ndax doo dee mun a am liggéey wala mu sonkoo ñinti ba sa mento teng carte fayo siitale ni be carte o fayla i dunte la keesoo kono i be ñine mutale la hakkilo ko i mantara carte o fayla patiyet ntol change ngo ama mata i be pati jumaale to i ñanta silal 2016 yaaje ko who is the most capable person to run this country for the next 5 years or for the next 10 years? You manke sonka kuti. You mu banku do ko quality. Mbe banko le mo le jibela melia lonko isi banko sambano nyato. Nte mu tichalje right nka karamunto ni le karandi. But men important ni be carte o file nyanta jibela comme naka funyol ya funyami. Consistency. To wol ka fu me consistency. Po iba file meye aka même fo nu. Anabe même fo ka. And I mean for a menyanta kela for all big mu kilin nati bang kadu ni moko ten kunum bi ako tum sama ba fo tang woto isalon ko wo ni akarte o fa abe kala problem wolti sa intol ko youth for change bawo nyim banko nata fo bi for the past 5 years one of the issues maybe ye wolam party before country wala transition or delay woto nyanta lon dal wala nantol ko ka fo party ka fo mba party karle do mba carte o fa o me kana o me la loptano soneyandi o me dindi la ding la karamu soneyandi me ya soneyandi wolom ye mol la moy me ya lon ko ite aje ko amari si banko sambano nyato amam bata nati Gambia kam ala baraka
abaraka bake mbele nga moy Mr. Alhaji Kurang atele o fojang komi banko ngawoje ngana party je ngana CEO je ngana dino je nga banko je angada Amadou Kafana Kang, Amadou, right? It's Amadou, huh?
Yes, Amadou.
Amadou Kafana ya for Molia, you know, I have a message of send a GDC in Collier, but although I'm not limit to GDC, it is going viral. Mr. Ka, what do you have for GDC?
Yes, thank you. Did I just 10-15 seconds ma am lu ndaw lu ma laal si Mr. Kurang fi mu waxee woon boo gisee loi bi waxoon ne maanaam ku téye carte jàmbur def nga crime waaye comme problème bi fi mu nekk mooy ki ñëwoon taxaw di wax ne mu ngi amee baag dafa wax ne moom mu ngi jógee si beneen parti xam nga su waxoon ne moom fi mu ñëw foofu la jógee du nekk dafa ne mu ngi jógee si beneen parti kon lu mu insinué mooy te mu ngi ànd ak lii kon lu mu insinué mooy carte yi mu jógee dafa xool fu nga xam ne ni yaakaar na ne ñooñu duñ sànni moom fi mu jëm soo mu jël seen carte so loolu mun naa nekk loo ne mun naa influence outcome of elections because ñun am nañ si experience in Ñaamina West voter buying moo fa nekkoon ñi ay jiitu fa jënd vote si nit ñi which is really wrong te warta am so secondly si affaire yi jàmma bi maa ngi wax ñi nga xam ne ni njëkkee si ñi nga xam ne supporter GDC leen members yi GDC ne GDC li nga ko xamee jàmma la ak waa réew mi jàmma ñu war a bàyyi xel nag ne ñun suñu leader Mama Kandeh depuis mu door politique ba tey kenn xamee ko xaste saaga wala dóore li nga ko xamee mooy liggéey jiitu si liggéey xañ boppam xañ njabootam xañ parteem jox nit ñi loolu lañ ko xamee ma bëgg a fàttali ñi nag ne li nga xam ne moom la ñuy sàmmaloo nit ñi lu jafe la parce que mooy jàmm te jàmm nekkul mbindeef boo xam ne xam nga bu ñu ne woon ñu sàmma Mr Jallow ñu xam ne Mr Jallow mu ngi nele kenn ku ne dina ko oytoo lor wala nga oytu koo def dara kon loolu dina neex a sàmm waaye jàmm ji nekkul kenn kul moo gis understand nga kon lu jafe la ci ñun ñëpp la nekk te kenn ku nekk si ñun rek nu jàmm nekkee si yow noonu la xay nekkee si yow moo tax nit bu meree def lu uteeg li nga xam ne moom la nit ñi solo loolu mooy xay te kon ñaar yëpp si benn nit ki la nekk si lu bëree bëri kon jàmm jooju lu jafee sàmm la te second li tamit ñi ñu koy sàmmaloo ñu si bokk exemple tey si affaire élection bi lenn la ñu koy sàmmaloo IEC lenn ñu koy sàmmaloo police bi ak yenn sécurité force lenn ñu koy sàmmaloo political parties ñu ngi leen di sàmmaloo loo xam ne doy na waar ba nga xam ne kenn mënu koo gis kenn mënu koo teg bët kon xel rek mooy li koy sàmm soo kenn ku nekk si ñun na yéene moromam jàmm boo gisee olof ne jàmm si la lépp xaj jàmm mooy tax ñu dem si élection si jàmm jàmm mooy tax ñi nga xam ne dem nañ campagne seen njaboot seen waajur yi seen njaboot yi seen xel mën a daal ne su ma doom de wala su ma baay wala su ma mag su ma rakka dem na campagne waaye incha allah dina ñib si jàmm dana ñib si dara du ko jot jàmm mooy tax élection bu jotee kenn ku ne mën a jóg dem taxaw def sa right jàmm mooy mën a tax counting am mooy mën a tax élection results mën a am jàmm tam mooy tax victory celebration mun a am jàmm tam mooy tax bu réeroo amee ñu mën a toog waxtaan déggoo ba nga xam ne gis ne li nga xam ne moo nekk njëriñu réew mi jàmm rek moo mën a create all of this so therefore kon kay ñun ñëpp is incumbent upon all of us ñu choose bu fekkee bëgg nañu dem si élection boo xam ne danañ mucc ayib si lu bëree bëri dugga si jàmm génn si jàmm celebrate si jàmm su differences amee ñu waxtaanee ko si jàmm ba gis ne ki am dëgg jox nañ ko dëgg donte bu fekkee sax dañ nangoon dëgg ci moom gis nañ loolu ñoo xam ne nii win nañ elections seen réew ñu dem court la court bi mujj def jël annual elections si ñu demaat seen elections kon jàmm rek moo war a mun a waral loolu yëpp kon bu fekkee bëggoon nañ dem yëpp si jàmm kenn ku nekk si ñun nañ xam ne jàmm rek moo ko mun ñun ñëpp nañ oote jàmm ñun ñëpp nañ yéene wante jàmm nañ ñaanalante jàmm ñun ñëpp te buñ xuusante maanaam bul gis kenn nekk si lu nekkul yoon nga bàyyi seetaan ko bul gis ne su duggee loolu mu ngeen dugga si pax nga bàyyi ko ndax parce que yow da nga bëgg moom mu dugga si pax na mu yàqule yow pour nga am njëriñ déedéet bu naree dugga si pax bu mu nekk problème oo ko wax ko li nga ko wax understand nga waaw ñun moom amuñ problème as a party open channels with any other party kon gis nañ ñu rong dañ la jàppale bu soobee.
Thank you very much mbelengo moy andu mbadi ngola min ben jibe kan alben jibe kan farone do wakatan live min be sirin jantem bi APRC la mo farman sarim bala bi janteng ngam mo fanando so jam yalo ngo bara change party le and GDC wala bi jam political am ko political party sabala mo farman sarim bal wala bi jang mi yalo ko be sirin be kacake ka muna wala mundi pour kayroti and mbe nga mo yana imbe min be sirin jam mo ma fo komi ko dolla party dolbe symbole use la wala forcé wala fitno e be mun fo kayro e wala tamande pour kaje ko na carte fo nyin anin kayrota so mbe mo be dani la min be jibe la andum fana min yalan ko be nyim partil to ñun la partil kamin tan na wala ñundi koy to la parti manke parti ti mi yalan ko in fitno le kata e la parti la manifesto to wala la plan wala la strategy wala la policy fenni fitna manda so mbe mo be dan la min na wala ñundi ko mo kana politiko ni fitno samba ni ngay fitno samba nan jang men na bankole mutala nga tinya andi ni mo do nat na fana wo faya da nga min tinya da fungo da ko nga jandimbe continue la so momo be banko ñini kam bi namum political politician wala political party ti e be mum banko dingola mi yan ko be kiliyare ne pour ka banko soto ka samba nyaato bare manke moldi mi yan ko mun ñoo jawalati manke ñoo ci mi yalo go e ku jawle ngani ya ñoy so mbele nga mo yele jang andum be mo be tendulam be jayla alla jiberola and we are saying thank you to our esteemed followers. I don't know whether you have any concluded remarks before we go.
We want to thank everyone
for
following this program, and I also want to thank my co-members in this panel. The message is always the same, that every Gambian should exercise his right by going out on the 4th of December to vote. Vote for development, vote for the development of every Gambian, vote peacefully and go home peacefully. Wait for the results. When the results are out, celebrate peacefully. If you are a loser, please don't create violence, because Gambia is one family. And after the elections, those that have won the elections, please open your arms to other political parties. Work with them for the development of this country. Bring together all the experiences and policies of different political parties in one platform, and we move this country forward. But the Gambia is for all of us.
For the Gambia, our homeland. And Mr. Kura, you have any conclusion?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I think it's a very educated program. I learned a lot from my colleagues here. And we're looking forward to a peaceful election in 2021. And particularly the young people of this country, I have a special message, which is to tell you that don't allow yourself to be used, for creating violence or propagating violence, because at the end of the day, the politicians will go and then meet somewhere and drink tea and coffee, and you will be left out in your program with your families. So maa ngi wax nit ñi ne nañ ko def ak xel, parce que ku dugga ci programme xëy na problème politicians yi ñoom yi neen dinañ dem naan seen tea, yow doo fa nekka waaye xëy na yaa ngi defa sa problème yaa with police. So ñi mu kuulati me alon ko mo be ñanta kila hakkilol la politique ko mu kuulati me alon ko safa ko do safa makta wala kune kono anda manke la kira kuti to nyalom ko bijel dina ko bijel me yalon ko mol nyanta la nyanto soto la yow fo daw mu dinol bari mo be sake hakilo la yake do manding inshallah ning alay men kije wote bayno
thank you very much Mr. Kuranga moy and you have any conclusion Mr. Kuranga
ma dina wax ne jere ngeen jëf rek setan kadi ñom ñep di sante tamit bu baax baax suma natango yi ma fi togati di wax nit ñi ne ñu bayyi xel rek bu fekke ne ñun suñu bop xexuñ man nañu tok an awa waxtaan different bi kenn ku nekk represent li nga represent ci jàmm kon ñoo war nañu mën a def 5 minutes in peace so maa ngi leen a sant loolu bu baax di ko
thank you very much our esteemed followers, and we are saying thank you very much to our able guests for actually making up their way to come and join us here to discuss on a very important topic, and we have discussed and we have done justice to the topic for certainly. We'll say thank you to our able technicians and see you next Friday. God bless you.